Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast on a new episode. Today I'm joined with Gigi, and today's topic is going to be about chronic illness, and what Gigi does to raise awareness as well. We're going to talk about that, and yeah. So Gigi, would you mind just doing a little introduction of yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Gigi Robinson. I am from New York City. I went to the University of Southern California for my undergrad and my master's. And I am a full-time content creator, public speaker, and author today. I spent years advocating for people living with chronic illnesses because I myself had grown up with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and a lot of unexplained pain that I couldn't understand, diagnosed with chronic migraines, POTS, mast cell activation. And actually, just in 2022, I had surgery for endometriosis, which, there's a 1 in 10 chance, at least in the US, of having it. So, 90% chance, no, 10% chance, yes. And I ended up having it and really changing the way that I was eating and doing the surgery and getting the treatment that I needed for that actually alleviated a majority of my symptoms from all those other chronic conditions. So I actually believe I was misdiagnosed, and that endometriosis was causing my pain the whole time. But now as I mentioned, I'm a content creator. I do a lot of public speaking around women's health, chronic illness, and teaching people how to advocate for themselves.
That's brilliant. Yeah, as tough it may be, like this getting diagnosed and getting diagnosed with all these different chronic illnesses, there is the good
Mhm.
things that come out of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think for me, the purpose is to help inspire people to get through it because it can be really lonely and it can be really debilitating and feel like it's the end of the world in a lot of ways. But I have used it to fuel my career. And I think anyone can do that.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? Like you, you do different like events, like you speak about it. Um, and do you find it's good to do that? Like to do like it like you're just sharing your journey and it helps other people by doing that.
Yeah, but it's also not what my mission is not to tell people to just like trauma dump on the internet or share their deepest darkest secrets, or if they're uncomfortable by sharing their disease, then I think don't do it. Only do it if it feels right. So if you're in the content creation space and all of a sudden you're seeing other people sharing their journey and you're realizing, oh wow, maybe like I could help people with this, or maybe you want to be involved in the health space, or maybe you're a doctor. Like, I'm not sure what really constitutes a person deciding to share their journey on the internet, other than the fact that ultimately they're going to be helping people. Um, but it's a journey. I mean, I know people that are on the internet, but they don't share their health, and that's intentional. I know people that are on the internet and they get a new diagnosis, and it's the first thing that they share with people. And ultimately, it's what ends up helping other people, their followers, get a similar diagnosis based on their symptoms. So, I think there's pros and cons to it.
Definitely, I couldn't agree more because yeah, it's a big step, isn't it, to go from I guess trying to like learn about your illness yourself, right? Before
Yeah.
actually speaking about it to the internet.
Yeah. And obviously, there's a ton of misinformation. And I think sometimes health influencers or people sharing about their health can, kind of, and they have created in a way a generation of people that are just like a little bit of like, oh, well, they have those symptoms. That's probably what I have. And they're self diagnosing. And not that that's like a good or bad thing. If that helps somebody live their life the way that they want to, I think that's totally fine. But obviously, I think consulting a medical professional is the best course of action, and you can approach them by saying, I was reflecting on my symptoms about something, and I ended up going to the doctor and sharing that I saw somebody on the internet shared their similar symptoms, and ultimately that's what kind of led to a diagnosis. I think those instances are great, but I think there's a lot of self-diagnosing happening that's I don't know what the words I would use to describe it are. I just think it's kind of bizarre that all of a sudden people are turning to the internet to self-diagnose and just say, oh yeah, I have this, I have that. And I think what they're really looking for and what we're really seeing is a group of people dealing with like a loneliness crisis. And obviously we're still coming out of like the pandemic years, where everybody was alone, and in diagnosing or joining in a bandwagon, all of a sudden you're identifying as a part of a community that you can find some solace in, that you can find friendship in, you can find validation in. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think the method to get that community is a little bit peculiar.
Yeah, I think sometimes because it's hard when you see people trying to self-diagnose with a chronic illness because there's so many out there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's stuff like that. I think it's more easier to self-diagnose if you're like autism or ADHD. I think like that is more you can see it more. Obviously, that's not an illness, but it's something that you can get diagnosed with, and it's easier to do it by
Mm-hmm.
yourself. You see the things,
Yeah.
but with a chronic illness, it's totally different, right? Because you don't know, like, because there are similar symptoms maybe from one chronic illness to another, although they are different.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy. I don't know if it's maybe they just want to they just want answers that they're not getting from professionals.
Right. Right. But the reason a lot of these people aren't getting the answers is because they don't know how to talk about their symptoms in a way that the doctors can digest, other than just, oh, I have anxiety. Okay, well, when do you have anxiety? Why do you have anxiety? When does it most come up? Does it have to do with a certain time of the month? Does it have to do with certain environments you're in? Does it have to do with certain people you're around? Or different seasons of the year? Or is it work stress? Like, I think there's so many specific things that people just generalize and say, I have anxiety, instead of like, when I am doing X, Y, and Z, I feel this certain way. Is this anxiety something that I need medication for? Because a lot of the time, at least here in the United States, I feel like you'll go to the doctor, you'll say, I have anxiety. They said, let's put you on an SSRI medication. And all of a sudden, you're on these really intense medications to help you. Not that they're good, not that they're bad, but you're on these medications, but you don't address the root cause of what's causing the anxiety in the first place. And the same goes for the chronic health issues, right? For me, for years and years and years, I went to the gastroenterologist for my stomach. I went to the neurologist to try to figure out what is going on in my stomach. My stomach is hurting me so much. Every time I eat, I'm getting acid reflux. I'm getting terrible bloating, terrible gas, terrible belching, pain in my stomach. And they did all the tests that are according to gastroenterology. I did the endoscopy, the gastric emptying test, the small bacteria overgrowth test, all of these different tests, and they all come back normal. And then shortly after all these tests, I go and I get the endometriosis surgery. They said, oh, well, we found endometriosis on your bowel. Oh, obviously it's making my stomach upset because it's chronically inflamed. So, how can I then, like, that was addressing the root problem? But it took me going, like, spending like a decade of my life searching for this answer. So, yeah, it's truly shocking, I think.
Yeah, the amount of time it takes and to get listened to as well, because
Yep.
you find with going to these appointments, you have to push these appointments sometimes, and you have to go on at these doctors or consultants, because I found that's what I had to do with my Crohn's disease. It took a fair while, but it did take as long as you with your chronic illness, but it took a while to because the pain was horrible. The best way I could explain it is like getting stabbed so many times in your stomach is really painful. And yeah, they said oh, we can't get an appointment to next year, and we're like, if I don't get to next year, I won't be here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to push so much and to get a diagnosis that you don't even know what it is when you when they tell you, right? It's all new.
Right. And then the other piece of it is the approach. So, if you're diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and I don't know what your specific position is on it, but if you were diagnosed with the disease or ulcerative colitis or something like that, you have a couple options, right? You can go the traditional route, which is Western medicine and going on medications and doing surgeries and blah, 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 blah. Or you can try to go the route of more holistic healthcare and changing your diet and your lifestyle choices. And I think there's beauty in both. And I think doing both at the same time is helpful. Again, an example I'll specifically use to manage my endometriosis, and it's not 100% perfect, but I got the surgery, which is, Western practice. They treat it with a hormonal IUD, and that's, against traditional holistic practices. But at the same time, I changed my diet and went gluten free, dairy free, vegan for almost 2.5 years. And as a result, my stomach problems were magically better. So, was it the removal of the chronic inflammation caused by endometriosis? Or was it the diet? Or was it both? And I really do believe that it was both. And I think that's a really beautiful thing that I'm able to have the power to decide. And for flare up days, I still have my medication that I can take when I need it. But it's not something where I'm on medication traditionally all the time. And I also am doing sauna and ice bath and ice showers and cold plunges and acupuncture and cupping and
Yeah.
herbal supplements. So I really do believe there's a mix.
Yeah. Must be very cold, ice bath.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's shocking, but something that's really helped me with it is actually learning breath work. So when you go in it, you want to like tense up and just go, "Oh my God, it's so cold." But if you actually force your body and your brain and your nervous system to calm down, you can really sit there and just like, it's really cold, but I'm gonna get through this. This is only 3 minutes, and then you get out and then you warm up, and that's that.
I think the best I've done something similar to that is when everyone did the ice bucket challenge, where they put
Uh-huh.
the ice over you. It's freezing. I couldn't even do a second, so you are a star for doing that. Um, but yeah, it's really interesting the different decisions that you can make. Like from getting diagnosed with a chronic illness from the start, it's tough, isn't it? Like at the start, because it's a very confusing time. If you haven't heard of it, some people have, like heard of like a chronic illness. So
Hmm.
it's a tough start, but I think the longer you like time goes on, the more you tend to understand it and you learn about it more, and then
Yeah.
that's what brings on to your choice if you want
Hmm.
to talk about it publicly if that's what you want. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, how long? When did you start making that? Like, what? When did you decide to start speaking about it on the internet?
Um, I think it happened pretty simultaneously with like dealing with my chronic health issues in college, or and I think over there in the UK you call it university. But while I was in school, I um, was dealing with teachers who like didn't believe that I was sick. They said if I got a chronic migraine, I still had to come to class, and it was just like a real challenge for me to actually navigate my life living like to navigate my life and navigate school and manage my health at the same time. And then there were periods of time where I was going to like a 6:30 a.m. physical therapy so that I could still make it on time to my 8 a.m. class. And obviously most college students are not waking up that early at 6 o'clock to go and involve themselves with physical therapy. And I was doing that. So it was kind of inevitable, but I really actually started with support groups, like Facebook support groups, which I know is kind of funny, but um, starting off that way I think ultimately led me to really gain the confidence in the community that was like surrounding me versus just going on the internet and starting. So I was already posting on the internet about being a college student, dealing with all these things. And then there just became a point where I was like, oh, I should probably like start talking about this health stuff because I realized so many other people are dealing with it.
Yeah. And do you find now it's kind of a hobby, just talking about it?
Well, yes and no. I've been through quite an evolution as a content creator. Um, doing this, I've been doing this for 5 years full time, and I was doing it part time in college before that. So I've been doing this for a long enough time that it does feel pretty natural. But I have amazing opportunities to work with, renowned nonprofits like the Endometriosis Foundation, and the Jed Foundation, and Mental Health Alliance, and Mental Health Coalition, National Alliance for Eating Disorders. I get the privilege to work with them as an advocate to amplify their message. And I think the really cool part is like a crossover where if you go over to my Instagram, you'll see recently I collaborated with the keynote. Hello.
This happens every time. It just kicks me out.
Wow. But yeah, I was saying I get to do speaking engagements and host panels and really amplify my message even further.
Yeah, it's really powerful, isn't it? Because I imagine for the first time that you did that. It must have been hard because like you're speaking maybe in front of people that you don't know, right? And like it must have been hard.
Yes, and no. Yes, because I think there's always going to be a little bit of nerves before you go out and you do something. And like my primary purpose is not for me to get notoriety, but for me to help other people get their diagnosis and to serve as a source of hope and inspiration and resilience for people living with chronic health issues to know that like they can achieve whatever they want to achieve with their even despite their chronic health issues. And I think a lot of the time, to be honest with you, they just people miss that, they overlook it, and it's kind of a shame that that happens. And I really do believe that um, my social media career also directly allowed me to realize that even if I get 10 likes, that's like speaking to, a group of 10 people, or 100 um, likes, or 1,000 views, or 10,000 views. It's like, wow, like 10,000 views is like a really tremendous amount of people. 1,000, 100, speaking in front of 100 people is still tremendous. And so I think that, for me, it's not really nerve-wracking anymore. And there's always going to be, Reddit snark pages and haters that are like, accusing you of this and that and the other. But that's just all noise. It's good when people talk about you because at the end of the day, that means you're doing something right.
Yeah, it helps you if they're
Yeah.
talking about you, good or bad. It That's what I always say. Like
Hmm.
if someone leaves someone a hateful message, I'm just like, thank you. You helped me. You
Yeah.
made people see my
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
Although that's not what we want. We want just
It's
happiness.
not what we want, but you know what? Sometimes it's necessary for that to happen in order for it to get to the right people. So sometimes I know another big celebrity, Jamila Jamil, right? She lives with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and she talks about it pretty openly. And a lot of the time, the media accuses her of crazy things, but it's like people and sharing her story, even though it upsets some people, she helps people get a diagnosis or work through it. So I don't, kind of like that saying that all press is good press. I really do believe that.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think as well, like certain chronic illness communities in like they have helped, I say, these celebrities, because I imagine as a celebrity it would be difficult to, to speak about, because
Mm-hmm.
they will get a lot of attraction
Yeah.
anyway, regardless of the chronic illness. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like us do what we do, just talking about it maybe helps them, thinking, oh, it's okay, I'll speak about it, and it helps them. And
Yeah.
so it must be hard, but also rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, when 3 years ago I was in Sports Illustrated swimsuit, and when I did that opportunity, I was getting messages from women all over the world saying, I never saw like a model in Sports Illustrated that, just openly talked about health issues, and that like, I'm 5'4". Everyone was saying, "Oh, you're a model, you're a model." It's like, yeah, that's really flattering and really kind that everybody's saying that, but that's not my primary job. And people saw themselves in me when I was in the mag, and that's predominantly why I decided to do it, because I knew it would reach the people and the women who deal with endometriosis but don't know what's going on, the women that can't work out and get a six pack before being in the magazine. That was really my motivation.
Yeah, just to help the other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think that you is that your like primary goal then, to kind of help other people while like sharing your own journey, to just try and help other people, to help them get diagnosis, or just help them understand, I guess, the illness a
Yeah.
little bit more?
Yeah, it's less about understanding the illness, more about understanding how to live with it. I think everybody, pretty much everybody, at least here in the United States, like I believe it's 65 or 70% of the population lives with a chronic health issue. And so as people live with these chronic health issues, obviously there's a gap for people that they're dealing with you know all of their issues. And so this is so many people living with this chronic illness and this chronic disease that they don't know how to manage. So it doesn't matter what it is, they're still struggling to manage. So yeah.
Yeah, just try and help them kind of manage it, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So like, how would you say you're doing right now with your chronic illness? Are you doing okay?
I mean, yeah, I think I'm doing significantly better than, I once was. I think with my journey, because I've been able to navigate and, make sure that I like have the resources, I have the access, I have the ability to help myself. I'm really able to excel and just grow my own work. So that's been really exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Do you like, within what you do, like with your content, being a content creator, do you like share, say if you had a bad day, like would you like to share that with people who see you, or would you prefer to keep that private?
No, I usually do share about it. But honestly, it is a journey that I am on, and I do a lot more content and in my day-to-day work about the creator economy and talking about how to make a living doing, all different kinds of things with my business and my life. And so I think it's a really exciting time because I not only have the opportunity to inspire people health wise, but I inspire anyone who is, aspiring to become a content creator or an influencer. And I have the opportunity and the privilege to really, help them on that journey. So, and again, show them what's possible. So that's the very exciting part for me.
Yeah, right. You get to meet new people, I guess, and you're doing all these
Yeah.
different things and making new friends as well. Like, while you do it, that must be one of
Yeah.
I find that's one of the best things with having a chronic illness because you share your journey and along the way you meet all these other people that have it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's nice to hear all the different stories.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's all different kinds of stories and ways about this. I think there's been times where I felt extremely alone, and then there's been, times where I'm like, oh wow, I think my friends got me. Like it makes complete sense, and they really are completely accepting and appreciative of my chronic health issues. So I think it's again, it's a journey.
Yeah, it's a journey that you're on, and
Hmm.
it's just you never know what's going to happen, do you? Really?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's partly like the beauty of it as well, right? Like we never know where life's going to take us or what's going to happen in our life. So I think it's, really cool.
Yeah, like it could be a really tough time, and then just like that, it's
Yeah.
good. It's good, but it could also be the opposite,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah. So, do you have anything coming up with like any events coming up that you're gonna do? Any speeches coming up? Have you got anything?
Yeah, I'm actually today going to the new school Parsons in New York City for a partnership with a friend of mine. We're doing a university talk, and we're actually training people how to, advertise. If I bring out my Ray-Ban Metas and I tell the students make an ad for the Ray-Ban Metas, what are they going to come up with? And then we're going to do kind of like a judging pitch competition. So it's really exciting, and I'm partnering with the Endometriosis Foundation as well to go into college and high schools and talk about patient advocacy and all of that.
That that that's really good, I think, because I think it's what this should be happening because
Mm-hmm.
going into school so people have more understanding, I guess, at a younger age, of maybe a chronic illness, so they have
Yeah.
more of an idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think because when we were well, when I was diagnosed, I didn't know much about it, and I feel like if that happens quite frequently, right, like events like that, more people
Yeah.
will know of it
Mm-hmm.
and less questions. But
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but as much as that's really good, I still love to talk about people because it is just making other people aware of it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have like a role model that you like, but like when going into like being a content creator, did you go in there like having like a role model that you've seen being a content creator that you kind of looked up on at all?
Um, I think it's pretty hard to pinpoint, but I listen to a lot of, motivational speakers and I'm just constantly inspired by their journeys. So just in that, I just kind of try to follow people that are inspiring and helpful and making a difference in the world versus one specific person I'm trying to uh, you know, uh, copy or resonate with.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm kind of trying to get a gist of how it works.
Mm-hmm.
like speaking because sometimes when you speak in a speech, sometimes um you might freeze, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
because other
Uh,
people.
well, I mean, not for me because this is my full-time job now.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah. Now,
public
yeah.
speaking, but maybe when you're first starting. But yeah, the first thing is always going to be hard.
Yeah. Because like speaking of it in the sense that when you first do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first did it, I was okay, right? Because I like when I was really young, I wasn't. I couldn't. I was so nervous, but now,
Mm-hmm.
like first doing it, I don't even look at people. Because of my autism, I struggle with eye contact, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at people directly. They might think I do, but I just stare at the space while just speaking about
Mm-hmm.
what I want to speak about because as long as that gets out there, it doesn't matter about who I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, so with your journey, do you have a like with getting diagnosed, like because you said you was misdiagnosed, right? Um, how it must have been really annoying, right? Because how long that took. Like did you keep like trying to fight and get these appointments? Like how was all that like the process?
Um, no, it wasn't hard. I think I live in New York City and there's some of the best doctors in New York City, and I had the opportunity and the privilege to be able to do that work and to work with um, those doctors over the years. And I really would say that like a majority of my health experience was kind of like dictated by the doctors I went to. So I went to a chronic pain doctor, and she had a holistic view of who I should go to next. And that's just how it kind of unfolded. And she suggested I get a workup and get an allergy test and go to the gastroenterologist and go here, go there. And then I did that. And then that's what led me to getting the endometriosis. So no, it wasn't hard. It just took a long time, but it was a process of elimination.
Okay, so it was just like seeing what it was, and you kind of get to that end game, I guess, of what it was in the
Mm-hmm.
end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good though. There was that in the sense that they were good doctors, right, and
Mm-hmm.
not rubbish ones. So
Yeah.
it was good, but I guess the annoyance of it maybe is that it took a while, maybe longer than you maybe wanted it to. Um, but last few things, Gigi. I always ask my guests on the podcast because we always have a set topic, right? Like we're talking about chronic illness today, like
Mm-hmm.
your journey and stuff. I always ask because every time we do an episode, it's about a set topic. I always ask.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to ask is, do you have anything that you like to do, like any hobbies, like that are maybe not anything to do with what you do? Like it might be that you like watching telly or you like playing golf. I don't know if you like playing golf. So is there any like what are your hobbies basically?
I love my dogs, so whenever I'm with them, I get to like go to the dog park. But yeah, I love cooking as well. So I love cooking in my free time, and I haven't I haven't tried baking bread yet, but I think it's something I'll pursue this year. I'll do pizza dough because that's easy, or cookies, but not sourdough bread yet. But I think I'll try
Love sourdough bread.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I remember years ago I had this like one of those. It bakes really good bread. Like you just put it in, it's all rip,
Hmm.
rip, like a bread machine basically. Um, but yeah, it's good that you enjoy cooking because like to try new things. It's like we said, it's really good for chronic illness because you try
Hmm.
something new or you make something new, but it can change quite quickly. like what you can have and maybe what you can't. That you kind of
Hmm.
identify that.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, you like taking your dog for a walk as well then,
Hmm.
like going out on a long walk.
Yeah, sure. A walk or to the dog park.
Yeah, that's quite good. Do you like anything else, or is that just the main two things?
I think to narrow myself down into a couple buckets would be kind of funny, but I also, love tending to my plants and things like that. But yeah, that's
Oh,
pretty much it.
oh, that's really good. Um, but just last thing, Gigi. I know you said a lot already. And I'm sure we could talk for longer. But what is there any advice that you have for other people that have a chronic illness? M- like really, like from your experience for helping people, like you just give some last advice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really comes down to the way that uh, you're able to advocate for yourself and always putting your best interest first. And obviously, you can relay to like Google or the internet or TikTok or wherever you're finding your information. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to go to your doctor and say, "Hey, doctor, I'm having blah blah symptoms, and I'm dealing with this, and I don't know if it's true, but I thought you could just check for this one thing, or just tell me if I'm off or not." And yeah, that's how I personally have helped people.
Yeah, and you will continue to.
Mhm.
Uh, well, thanks, Gigi. I hope you've enjoyed coming on the podcast today,
Yeah, thank you.
and I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and weekend. I can't believe it's the weekend already. Um,
Great.
but yeah, to anyone listening, watching today, we hope you've enjoyed today's episode. It's been a really good one, and I will see you in the next episode, whenever that may be. But thanks to Gigi and thanks to all what she does to raise awareness. But we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.